And then we're coming back November 7th in person, and then November 14th is our last one on Zoom. That's how we're doing. Okay. And then thank you to Supernus and AbbVie, because we wouldn't be able to do this without them. So for free. And
Good.
Susan's here also. Okay, great.
All right. So welcome, everybody. It's good to see familiar faces. This program works well when we can have some continuity. So I think everybody here has been to at least one before, and I'm happy to check in. I wanted to start by just checking in with folks and see if there's anybody who has started a meditation practice and if we can share experiences. And then just to let you know what I've planned for this hour, I want to spend really a decent amount of time breathing and do meditating together to practice the concepts. And then I'll talk about some of the worksheets that I have for you for over this next month. So hopefully continue. And one last point that I'm actually beginning some workshops through Yale in a couple of weeks. And I know it falls during the high holidays for those who celebrate, but anybody who wants to join those are also available by Zoom. It will be similar concepts, but I find with this material, hearing it again is helpful. It's not that it becomes repetitive because you get a chance to remind yourself to do the practice. So that's all what we had. So we'll be in touch over this month that we're off.
How do we find that program?
The Yale program, I will forward it to you, but it's I have yeah, I'll forward it to Susan, I guess, to forward to the whole list if that's okay. Everybody's available to join it. There is a website, Marcia, and I can send it to you also. I have your email address. So is there anybody who has been meditating this past week or has any thoughts that they want to share?
Humming counts too. Humming counts also.
Yeah, humming counts. Yeah. Do you hear that background noise? Is anybody else hearing it? Okay, so I'm going to try and solve it. Sometimes people hear it and some people don't. It's from my computer. I'm going to have to try and see if I can get it to stop. Okay. And then I also can actually now get.
I feel so incompetent. I can't reach, I'm not able to download. The first week I downloaded, everything went to Dropbox. The second week, it says I can't open it. It says this format does not open. So I'm at a loss.
We'll figure it out with you one-on-one, Marcia.
Thank you, Susan.
That sound still coming through for everybody? That staticky sound?
I don't hear it.
You don't hear it? Okay, great. I'm hearing static and sometimes it impairs the Zoom recording. Good. Okay, great.
Audio is nice. Excellent.
The audio is excellent. Good. Great. Okay, so we have to figure out, I haven't tried to download it. Has anybody else tried to download anything? No, not yet. Okay.
I have difficulty as well. So
a difficulty as well.
Maybe
okay, I will try.
Okay, thank you.
Simone, you did download?
No, I couldn't. I don't know. I guess because I'm not all together because I've had a cold for so long. I'm just kind of focused. Oh,
right. We'll
join. Wait a join. Oh, I'm joining on my computer so I can see a bigger screen. Hold on. So okay.
So I'll ask people a couple of questions. I'm curious. I had the chance to meet John and Alan in person last week and others too. Malik was there. And so I was just curious, John and Alan, any takeaways from last week? Any of you tried any of this at home? And it's okay if not, there's no pressure. This is but if you do have any thoughts, I'd be happy to check in. Alan, you're muted, actually. I'm going to...
Okay.
I've tried to do a little bit of that mindful walking. When we walk from the house over to the ping pong community center where the ping pong is, a lot of times Barbara will say, okay, start swinging your arms and sometimes when I'm playing the ping pong, she's going to go get the ball because it's flown off the end of the, while she's getting the ball, I go around in a brief circle and do the heel toe around just to utilize the time a little bit more constructively than just standing there.
Yeah,
So,
great.
I think his gait has improved, you know, not only within the past week, but I think it's continued to improve just, I think with, I guess, the medication and exercising more. And I think that it is helpful to do that mindful walking. And I think I think that you are doing better with the arm swing and, you know, it's been stressed by you now, which makes it better. Because then I could say, oh, swing your arms, and he doesn't tell me I'm a pest. But it really is helpful. It improves your gait and it improves your posture and everything.
Good. Have you done any of your TM practice?
I've done a little bit from time to time. Also, I don't know if you're supposed to do it when you're lying down, but if I'm in bed and I'm awake and my mind is shifting around amongst different thoughts, sometimes I'll try doing a little bit of a mantra or just focusing on my breath. If I find the mantra doesn't seem to be helpful, I'll try just focusing on the breath. And I don't do that for any particular amount of time. I might do it for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It just depends on my mood and what kind of response I get. But just trying to quiet the mind a little bit, and then maybe I fall asleep a little easier.
Good. I like this. It sounds like you're able to access these tools, meaning that when you have some free time, you're actually using that to stress some mind-body connection. And at night, that makes a lot of sense. Sometimes actually elongating your breath a little bit at the end can help also to actually help you fall asleep. I am planning to do breathing today, and I can introduce that concept.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
I've been working on gait and balance and swinging my arms and thinking of the necessity to zone in on what I'm doing. And that seems to be very helpful. It gives me more speed and agility that I didn't have before. And that's, it's not actual speed, but it's faster and more connected to my going from point A to point B than it was before.
Okay, great. Good. I want you also to, we'll do a little bit of the sitting meditation practice today also. So that part is important for you to fit in as well, but that sounds positive. It sounds like by focusing, you're able to somehow make the connectivity a little bit stronger. And that's really one of the. Great. Very good. Good. Okay. Anybody else? Yakov, we haven't seen you for last week. We missed you. Where do you live, Yakov?
I live in Oakland County, close by to our classroom when we have those exercises. For last week, I still practicing my exercises. I remember I told you I feel like I'm on the beach. And also during the day, I'm just trying to relax and find a nice location, couch or maybe easy chair. So I sit down, completely relaxed, started to hear my breathing.
Good.
And I was not looking for to fall asleep, but end up I was sleeping.
Okay.
And it was very refreshing.
Good. Yes, that's good. I also want you to work on focusing your attention, but that's common that you may fall asleep. If it's a nice deep sleep, that's also restful.
Because sometimes I'm waking up in the middle of the night and I like to go back to sleep. And I feel like I want to sleep, but it's still open, my eyes open. So, okay, let's go back on the beach.
Okay. So in addition to being on the beach, we did a little mindful walking where you can also Actually, I don't think I did it don't think I did the mental component last time. I did just the physical one where we all walk together. There is a mental component to what we did where you actually just close your eyes and you picture yourself walking. And that has actually been studied for Parkinson's as a way to also make the gait more fluid. It's as if you send the message inward that this is how it's supposed to work. And then when you practice, so in addition to the beach, you can also, if you want to, just imagine yourself fluidly up and down the beach and just see your arms swinging, see yourself standing upright. That's another technique you can add into. Yes. And what you mentioned also about being in the beach and feeling the water, that part is also important, not just seeing yourself, but feeling the feet hit the sand, right? So that bringing in the sensory component of it is what is helpful for Parkinson's in particular.
Could you talk about that a little bit? Why is that?
Yeah. So one of the things that we are talking about is kind of in the brain. When you have the brain operates in networks, meaning that the different parts of the brain have to work together in a coordinated fashion. And really, in many conditions, we start to see that connectivity degrade a little bit. But in Parkinson's, one of the ways that connectivity degrades is in the connectivity between the motor and the sensory processing areas in the brain, as well as to the frontal executive part. So the signal is being sent to walk like we always used to walk, but it's not being executed properly or smoothly. When we actually sit and so we want to practice in meditation feeling the body, sensory components. That's one. Two is that when you picture yourself walking, you actually activate the same muscle networks in the brain when you're actually walking. So when you picture yourself walking and practice walking and feel it, you're actually helping those neurons fire together in your brain, and that promotes long-term connectivity. And meditation has been shown to do that, to promote the connectivity of the body. There was a recent Tai Chi study showing that with people with Parkinson's, after they studied Tai Chi, they had successfully reconnected that part of the body. It was improved connectivity. And that can say you make sense because Tai Chi, you're moving the body. But in our research, we're trying to make the case that even with meditation, just by feeling the body in a body scan and by imagining it, that you can upregulate that connectivity. So I don't have a conclusion for that yet, but that is a hypothesis that we're working on.
So does that mean that if you watch a baseball game, a basketball game, or tennis, and you watch it, it's going to help your connections?
Well, you're watching somebody else. You have to imagine yourself doing it. And let's all practice this for a little bit, okay? It's easier with your eyes closed, but let's stick with the baseball example, okay? So go ahead, close your eyes, just go inward and start to picture yourself, maybe just your upper torso or your whole body, but see yourself in your mind's eye holding a baseball and pull it back into the position and then throw it. And then as you throw it, try and feel that velocity of that arm, that like pulse, that feeling of what it would feel like to chuck a ball. You might even feel like your muscles are wanting to contract. Let's practice walking. Imagine yourself where you're sitting right now and leaning forward and pushing up, using your arms or standing up. Just feel the legs pushing down, the arms pushing down, and the body standing upright. So go ahead and sit down again and do that again. Feel your torso lean forward, push up. You can almost feel your muscles wanting to contract. And so you're intentionally bringing in the sensations with that movement. And say you take a few steps and go to a door, reach out and hold that door handle. Feel the coolness of that steel object. Turn it. Feel your arm wanting to turn. We were doing a meditation. I think if someone just joined, I'm asking people to close their eyes and see themselves, but feel the sensations associated with that movement. And when it comes to walking, you would do the same thing. You would close your eyes and see yourself walking and feeling the arms swing, feet swinging, and the heel hitting the ground, pushing off, moving forward on your foot. And you can do that slowly and picture yourself walking in the most perfect posture. And then when you're done with that, you get out of your imagination, you come back to the room you're at and you try it. You stand up and you try that movement. If anybody wants to, we can take a break if you're in the mood to stand up and try. And yes, good. And Simone's doing it. Yes, go take a walk and now feel it and see how close you are. And sometimes doing that practice in your mind, actually not sometimes, athletes do this, musicians do this, actors do it. They rehearse in their mind to make it more fluent for when they actually sit down.
Dancers do it also. That's how we learn
choreography.
choreography.
Be able to, yes. So this has been studied with Parkinson's, putting people in an MRI scanner. And this is really interesting. And telling them to do it in the scanner. And then the MRI machine looks and sees if they're actually activating that same part of the brain. So you can use an MRI machine to see if your brain is actually activating that part. That's an expensive technology. We want to do it with EEG and eventually get a little headband so you can be portable and make it cheap enough so we can help people with Parkinson's say, hey, this part is not working as strongly as it should. Practice this. We can tell you right away on the screen. That's what neurofeedback is.
So this is like biofeedback. It's
yes.
biofeedback, and you want to make a machine like that.
Yes.
That's wearable.
Yes.
Okay, I want to sign up for that one.
We need money for that. Help us fundraise. Help us fundraise. We have a great lab at Yale that we can study this. So we're in the process of starting to study this already. And
that's great.
Yeah. So this is mind-body medicine, learning how you can tweak what's happening in your mind, in your awareness, and get your brain to follow and do what you want it to do.
So
how was the
if I think about forced exercise, for example, do I get any of the benefits of actually doing forced exercise?
I mean, you might. I don't know. I mean, your heart might start to pump a little harder. It might. You would probably activate some of your sympathetic drive. But really for the exercise, you actually want to build the muscles a little bit more. I think it helps more for connectivity in the brain than for building those muscles.
By the way, on the subject of muscles, is that a cumulative, should it be a cumulative effect where you do something regularly and you have muscle building someplace, but you can't necessarily see it? But if is the muscle, just to use a word, is the muscle wasting while it's also trying to be rebuilt? I mean, is there a disconnect there?
Tell me, you're talking about physical muscles, right? Okay. So
physical muscles.
Yes.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't quite understand your question. That muscles, if you use them, they build. You said when there's muscle wasting.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the exercise or moving in a variety of ways to build up muscle and strength is made more difficult because Parkinson's is working to lose that muscle.
Yes, I think I understand. It's not even that it's working to lose it. It's that the connectivity isn't there as well. So the body doesn't move as well and as efficiently as it used to. So all that exercise then doesn't necessarily repair the muscles that are being lost, right? That's a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why if you work on correcting your posture first, slowing down. I know you were saying that sometimes the focusing on the body helps you move a little quicker, but it's also important to slow down and correct the posture. Then the muscles can start to build again, because part of the process is that part of the body becomes stiff, so you're not actually exercising the muscles properly.
Gotcha.
So you can mindfulness to help focus on posture, and that hopefully will make the exercise more effective.
Thank you.
Dr. Sarah, would it, in terms of walking, would it be helpful to like wear a backpack sometimes when you're walking, just to kind of remind you to improve your posture and your frame? Or even use those, what do you call them? The ski poles?
Walking stick?
Yeah,
yeah. There's also a posture corrector. Have you guys ever seen that? It's like a little straps that you pull it and it keeps your shoulders upright. And that's cool too. So you don't necessarily have the weight, but I do think so. I think the backpack would help. The walking sticks would help, but sometimes we get immune to that also. You just the skin or the body has this tendency that if it's not changing or constantly vibrating, this is where that vibrating device comes in that Susan and Maurice have been playing with. When there's something vibrating on the body, that can help bring your attention to it. So a backpack might be good at first, but you have to remember to pay attention to that. Otherwise, the body might lose that awareness.
Okay, thank you.
Is that like the Q1 device? Is that the vibrational device?
I was talking about this Vibe Life device that Susan and Maurice have been having.
Yeah, the Vibe Life, Orland.
I see. Okay.
All right. Good. So Yakov, that's Yakov helped get us onto this nice conversation about that's called kinesthetic motor imagery. If that's the scientific name for it. Kinesthetic, because you're feeling it while you're imagining it. Could you kind of feel the muscles wanting to move a little bit? Okay. The same concept also with mantra. When you repeat something silently in your head, it's almost like you're creating it. Like you almost can hear it. You almost, if you do it intently enough, you can hear your voice wanting to say it. But it remains a silent act. And the more you feel it, the better it is for your brain.
Sarah, I actually did something different. I mean, I've been doing this before, but I started thinking about it from a meditation point of view. I tried something difficult, like I tried to move my eyes in one direction and my tongue in another direction. And I was trying to practice that. And with the meditation component, it became easier.
Good.
It was really helpful. I was able to do it after a while. It just maybe because of that, I had some dopamine release because I felt good about it. I don't know.
Great.
So
yeah. Okay, cool. Great. There's also a neat exercise that I'll show you in just a second, where it's very difficult if you stand up. This is going to be hard for someone with Parkinson's, but I've done this exercise in my workshops before. You can try and move your arm in one direction and the leg in the same direction. But if you try to move one clockwise and try and go in opposite directions, that's similar to what Malik was talking about. I don't know if necessarily, I wouldn't try it now, but look, I don't want you to fall, Malik. We're not going to do it now. But I've done that exercise before. So the arms and the leg want to move in the same direction. If you try and do it in opposite directions, it's hard. There's resistance. It doesn't go. You start to move one, the other goes in the same direction. There's a wiring. What? What?
It didn't work.
Didn't work.
I couldn't do it.
So there is a wiring that wants them to go in the same direction. This is efficiency. The brain has built this. But if you slow down and very slowly make tiny movements in opposite directions, the brain will allow you to do it. This just shows that if you slow down your movements, you break these old patterns. And that's what neuroplasticity is. The first step of neuroplasticity is learning to stop these deeply rooted neural patterns and then retraining from a more productive perspective. So Malik, that's what you described, that when you can kind of get your thinking mind out of the way and maybe from a different perspective, instead of thinking and trying the way you usually would, you breathe through it, maybe you kind of allow those muscles to work on their own, you reduced interference and you found that you were able to do it.
Yeah.
But
And I also realized that you have to do it for a longer period of time. I think I was trying for too short. I needed to do it longer, and then it worked.
Yeah, yeah.
This is amazing, this concept of slowing down, even with our talking.
Yeah.
Part of it is developing patience. And patience is something we don't have. And Parkinson's speeds us up, right? So this slowing down is a great exercise.
And I want to add it happens to me when I try to walk a little faster and I'm making such a small steps. It's like a shuffling. And anybody from my family say, no, you should do it slow, but do it normal way. We don't want to see you walking like an old man.
That's what we did last week in the class. We had people slow
I'm
down.
sorry, yeah. I'm sorry I missed the class. I hope to come for the next time. I have the stupid virus I can't get rid of. But yeah, it's important. But you know what? When I'm in a hurry to go to the bathroom, something, even though I have a DBS system, I'm shuffling. And even if I don't know, it's hard to stop that. I need training to do that better.
Okay.
I really, when I go to the doctor, I walk normally. She says, oh, you're doing great. And I'm saying, yeah, but I shuffle in the morning and, when I'm in a rush, she says, I don't see it. You're doing great,
That's how it works.
That's what it works.
That's how
I'm on my best behavior. I try anyway. This is wonderful.
How was the walking? It sounds like you got that, Simone, I saw you got up, Marcia maybe got up to try the walking after the motor imagery. Did you? That was already a few minutes ago, but.
Yeah, I know. I just need to act. I don't know. It's like my brain doesn't want to imagine. I have to actually, when you said to sit up straight, I had to sit up, straight and I just can't. I have to do it together with the motor function, it seems, to actually do it, to practice. Maybe my brain's not so
Nope. I think this is just a new skill that we're never taught this. And so this is the thing with meditation. There's so many different techniques, and how do you decide what to focus on is hard. Because if you just do it once in class and then don't do it again, you might say, oh, it doesn't work. Each of these techniques you really have to try for a few times. So maybe take a mental note and put this in a notebook and say, this is something that maybe one day when you are sick, when you have a virus and you're in bed resting anyway, maybe you can practice it. With visualization, it takes more and more effort to start to crystallize, to see more details, to practice this concept of conjuring in your mind what an imagery looks like. So don't give it up, but also don't force yourself to do anything that doesn't seem like a effective avenue.
I have a comment, if I may.
Yes.
About it seems like the brain has a pre-program, like you're saying, a programmed fear. Like for instance, it's around the corner. Whenever I approach a corner, I could be walking like a pro. As soon as the corner comes, my fear kicks in, and then it's like, okay, and I take little steps to make the corner, and I'll try to be patient as possible. And then when I make the corner clearly enough, my brain says, okay, now you can proceed. It's kind of like this built-in fear thing that you're getting at. Is a matter of slowing it down so that you teach the body, you teach the brain really to say it's okay kind of thing,
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's great that you actually identify it as fear. I hear other people talking about it as freezing of gait or just the legs don't move. But we are seeing that basically this corner has kind of sabotaged the brain. The brain has become aware of this corner and it is viewing it as a threat. And because of that, the motor connectivity has gotten impaired. So in addition to slowing down for that, you I also recommend really learning what a signal of safety is for your body. And a lot of the breathing and meditation exercises we do, they stimulate this parasympathetic system that it really creates a signal of safety for your body. So one technique I will ask you, instead of just moving slowly, to actually start to take some deep breaths. And we're going to do some breathing together. And we have Dara here, and I'll invite Dara to offer his feedback. Also, he's a breathing expert. I'll share what I had planned, and then we'll see if Dara has any thoughts on that for beginners. So that is actually, the topic for today, helping to learn how to breathe to help the body feel safe and secure. So I think that was Arlen who was saying that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, exactly. But that is exactly what we have been working with for, freezing, or when for some people it's a narrow hallway, for others it's a crowded room.
Yeah.
And two things. One, kind of breathe and connect to your body. Let the body know it's okay through breathing, not just this rational way. But second of all, actually, you can picture in your mind's eye swinging the arms and taking normal steps. So you can close your eyes for a second, if it's safe to do so, and see yourself in your mind's eye. And that has been enough for people to break that freezing cycle. So the feedback I got was that, one, they remembered to do it. They tried it in a safe environment like their house. And at first, the first time they did it, they were shocked because their body started to move. And so they practiced it a couple more times, and then it became more fluid for them. But the last email I got for this one woman who was sharing her feedback, she said, actually, the freezing stopped happening because she basically, and that was really remarkable for me. So I'm trying, and I've had one other person repeat that. These are still small numbers, but these are all what we call mind-body techniques to internally help the connectivity when it starts to go haywire. So it's great that you're aware of it, and that's the first step. And second is to try these techniques. Yes, Simone had a question.
Yes, I was told that, when I used to bike ride, which I'm not doing anymore, if somebody would bike ride and pace, then I would follow the pace. As soon as they went away, I didn't, my brain or whatever, my body didn't cooperate as well. So modeling some kind of, I don't know, if somebody walks in front of you regularly, instead of you walking by yourself, does that help? Because I thought it did, for me anyway.
It can, and there are cueing devices like a cane that flashes light that can help keep that rhythm. But I also think I advocate for people to be able to internally cue that, right? So if you can also manage to have an image of yourself, then you aren't as dependent on somebody else or anything external. But do what works. You have to find for all these techniques, it's something that works.
And I have the same experience. I find I feel like I walk pretty slow, and my gait's, not my favorite thing. And I walk, I guess, slowly, but then I'm walking my grandkids to school and they're fast. And when they're fast, I stay fast with them. Actually, I'm much better. I can run better than I can walk. I'm not a runner, but if I'm on a treadmill, I'm not dragging my foot.
Yeah. Can you practice mindful walking? Have you seen that video, or do you know what I'm talking about, mindful walking?
Yes. I haven't seen the video because I couldn't get it, but I know what it is.
I have a video I can send you. It's on YouTube, for not from last week, but there's a video on YouTube that an exercise you can follow that just spend some time practicing it and seeing if by slowing down you can get your foot, to stop dragging. You slow down and perfect the gait. And then when you have it slow, you can practice slowly increasing the speed and still keeping that mind-body connection and still getting the foot to do what you want.
So who was that? Dioge, was that his name? Brain Health? Norman Dioge?
Yes, John Pepper. That's John Pepper when he wrote chapter.
So I listen to that. So when I walk, I think all the time, lift your knee higher, lift your knee. That, I guess that's really concentrating. Is that mindful? I guess it's mindful because I'm thinking each time I take a step, lift your knee.
Yes, it is, but you have to, but it's not just lift your knee. It's maybe if that helps you, but maybe lifting your foot up also. So have somebody take a video of you or walk in front of a mirror, like the studio at Susan's center, or if you have a mirror, just walk back and forth, watching yourself so that you can correct your gait and then internalize it and remind yourself. And if you have a treadmill, if you can go slow on a treadmill, the key to that is slowing down, perfecting the gait, and very slowly increasing the speed, but only as fast as you can still have a good gait.
Is there a reason? I know other people have this, that faster works better than slower.
Well, running kind of works better, but I don't think that walking, my understanding is that the walking network is impaired, but if you run, that's a different network. So that's fine. Just
Okay.
why people ride a bicycle. Remember that video of that man who can't walk, but he gets on a bicycle, he can ride a bicycle fine. That's a totally different connectivity in the brain. But we want to fix the walking one because that's quite important to fix.
But
And that's
walking fast also is easier than walking slow. That's what I found.
okay.
So
But
does
it's-
that mean if you run, it's not going to help your walking?
No, it does. It didn't for me, you know, because
Yeah, it
when you're
doesn't.
walking, you have to put your heel down. It's that whole, you know,
Yeah.
that whole, and this way you're walking. When you're running, you're not putting your heel down as much. I don't know, there's a whole different dynamics in
Yeah.
that.
That's
And
interesting,
I rather
Malik.
walk and run and walk well for as long as I can, because running, you know, as you get older, running. I wish I could bike ride. I have to find somebody. Biking is wonderful because it's good exercise outdoors when it's pretty out. Well, you know.
I love biking. Biking is a great tool for me too.
Yeah. The only thing is you need to, you know, I like to have somebody my speed, you know, everybody I bike ride, you know, goes the fast way or, you know, and that's not me anymore for a lot of reasons.
Someone I know just got herself a tricycle. So she doesn't
Oh.
worry about the balance, but she
All
can.
right, tricycle is not so easy to ride. My friend has one with the turning. It's not so easy, so I don't know.
But is
Training.
bicycle that separate muscle group that you were talking about?
Yeah, not only separate muscle group, but a separate neural network also. So even for people who can have a lot of trouble walking, if they get on a bicycle, there's no difficulty there. There's a video that has been making rounds.
There's
Oh,
something
I see.
jubilant about the fact that we can run a little bit. And that same sense of joy is not necessarily there in walking.
Again, on the bike thing, sorry again, I had to chime in there.
Yes.
The bike thing, I'm like 16 again when I'm on my bike going down my driveway, you know, and I get down there and then the challenge comes in the corners again, even on my bike sometimes, you're looking for traffic, but generally I find the biking, and just like that guy, you know, when my walking is a little impaired, I can jump on my bike and be completely normal, and I'll take on the neighborhood, you know, and it's like, but when the minute I get off, it's back to being unsteady again. And so that's it. To friends, it surprises people who they think I just, oh, look at you get off the bike. But the minute I get off the bike, it's like, okay, hold on. Yeah, so it's like that for me too. But it's a great workout. It really helps it gets the prostaglandins going, you know. You feel really good about doing it. It's a check mark on the list, you know. It's a dopamine rush, and so I feel really good at it. It's just when I do it in the day. If I do it in the morning, it breaks my day. If I do it in the afternoon, it seems better for me. But that's just me.
Now, just one quick question. You say it's like a dopamine rush or a prostaglandin rush, but do you actually then when you get off the bike, you say the walking is, does that actually translate into your movements otherwise? Like, do you feel that it actually boosts your dopamine?
It can, yes. Depends how much of it I do. You know, if I do it, and I really, I have to overcome hills. I have to overcome obstacles, and and in my neighborhood it's hilly, so it really helps that way. And I do get it. It does help. Not as much as I hoped, but it does help. It's just not as much as I think it should. So sometimes I push it, and it'll actually kind of it'll work against me because then I'm too tired to walk it. So I try to really not to push it too hard.
All right, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
One quick, Malik. So you say that walking faster is easier than walking slower sometimes?
Like, yeah, because I think when I'm walking slower, sometimes like intense concentration is not so good. So
Okay.
when I walk slower, I'm paying attention to too many details sometimes, and I'm overworking the brain and I start shaking. But what I do is I compensate by counting, like I go 1, 2, 1, 2. I try to make a pace for myself.
Yeah.
So that helps me going.
I wonder if there's some frustration also with just slowing down, kind of, is there, no, just wanting to do things faster or not necessarily?
I think what the person who was just talking before me, I think like I understand what he's saying. When you exercise, like you do a lot of effort into it, I think there's more information going to the brain and you just, in generally, you feel better. So it's about just getting information to the brain.
Good. Yes, that's what and each person has to figure that out, what works for them. So maybe some people have to slow down, other people need a little bit of cardio to boost the brain.
Yeah.
Okay, good. We have half an hour left. Should we do some breathing and meditation together?
Sure.
Go for it.
Okay, great. So, so Dara, what I was trying to share my audio, but I couldn't, so I sent it to Maurice. But I have the coherent breathing, which I introduced last time, but now I have an audio track for it, which is what you mentioned before, 5-second breaths. And what I was going to do was play the audio of 2 bells and asking each of us to listen to it for a little bit and really try to relax with a little bit of guidance from me. But then we stop the audio and we try to prolong the breath a little bit. And so once we're in the habit of doing a little, breath work, pranayama, see if we can slow it down a little bit. And I was undecided. I thought maybe we'd keep the inhale the same, but we just try to prolong the exhale. But I wanted to give people an exercise of really using a little bit of breath work, modulating the breath to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. Any thoughts from you, Dara?
That, to be honest, that sounds wonderful. I mean, number one, thank you, Dr. Sarah, for what you're doing. I think this meeting like this, discussing, all of these elements, whether one has got Parkinson's or anything at all, for life is vital. So, and I genuinely really appreciate, what you're doing and what you're addressing. From my point of view, I'm in no way an expert. I am just very passionate about breathing and life in general. My experience from being in a car crash in 2012 was when I got a dose of PTSD off it, and that's how I started getting into meditation and breath work a little bit more serious, and it just started to snowball. And I'm fascinated with everybody's comments, in terms of running and walking at speed, and how I kind of work in this is I'm trying to, without sounding new age at all, is to try to live a meditative life on a day-to-day basis. I believe that in breath, that in slowing down, exactly that exercise, yes, there's fast upregulating breathing techniques, but I think in slowing down the breath, we do in this day and age have a difficulty in being still. And I think that in slowing down the breath, you can actually really tap in to an intelligence within the body. The power of visualization, I think, is what we were talking about earlier on, in imagining that we're picking up a baseball bat or opening the door. But when we talk about concentration and fear, stressors in life of the fear of falling over, I think simply coming into the focus of where is the placement of your tongue. Is it at the bottom of your mouth? Is it the top of your mouth? The tendency, from at least that I feel in my body, is that when the tongue is placed at the top of the mouth, there's a tendency to lift the head a little bit more. The shoulders slightly, come back. The chest sits up a little bit. You don't feel slouching just by the simple placement of the tongue, then in focusing, I mean, human beings, we're not built for multitasking. So I think focusing in on one thing to do it well before we start to juggle something else is key. So the placement of the tongue, breathing in through the nose and out through the nose if you can, and slowing down the exhale, because that triggers the vagus nerve. That secretes a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine, which brings down the heart. And we start to create more saliva in the mouth, indicating the body's in parasympathetic drive. So ultimately, we start to feel safe.
Thank you.
If I could throw a couple other little points at you, I'd love to, because I've got to run just shortly at 9 o'clock. I'm very curious about the dopamine aspect for folks, if cold water therapy has any benefit. There's a particular type of yoga called the 5 Tibetan rites. I'm very curious about whatever algorithms I'm plugged into at the moment. I understand that Parkinson's is on the increase, and that it's potentially related to a lot of chemicals that were put, for example, in the Gowanus Canal in New York. It's also related to the pesticides in a lot of food that is, happening across the country. And so I know I'm throwing a lot of points there. But just I'm curious about cold water therapy, in the morning time when you wake up. And I'm not saying shock therapy. I'm saying, like, step into a hot shower first, then start to reduce it to the cold to where you can take it. Forms of movement, and paying attention to food. Does intermittent fasting come in, to play?
You know what, Dara, I think all this stuff, Dr. Sarah will definitely address this, because those are all important things. But
Perfect.
I think, okay, for
Yeah.
sure.
But for now,
Yeah, I'll comment just, all of that contributes to brain health. That what we're trying to work on with this series, which Susan aptly called brain health. The brain is such a dynamic organ. Everything contributes to it. So if you change your diet and do intermittent fasting and you change the balance of the neurochemistry, that has the potential, and that has been studied with Parkinson's. It is shown to be slightly therapeutic, but the studies are all small. For cold water therapy, Wim Hof has been building his database, but I still think the studies are. I haven't seen any truly high quality studies that we can apply and say that this is helpful for Parkinson's, and that's how I tend to operate. I really focus on what has been shown and my particular passion, which now I'm pursuing and trying to show in high quality studies. So I can't comment on cold water therapy other than personal experience that it certainly feels very therapeutic. And I think that it's a valid option to offer clients you work with, and for people with Parkinson's that want to feel inclined. In fact, I have an audio track where I call it the mindful showering and the cold water stress test. That not only does the cold water fall on you, and well, so first of all, water, you can feel the water, right? That's a chance to be mindful. Feel the sensations, feel soap in your hands, feel the water dripping on your head. Now, turn the water cold. One, explore the fear, the resistance from going into that cold water. Just explore it. Then go into the cold water and feel the breath naturally deepen and increase. This is the body's natural response to stress. It's supposed to take big, deep inhales. But often with stress, we actually take shallow breaths. So explore that. And then if you do want to do this, see how after you turn off the cold water, it feels pretty awesome. Like the whole skin, I'm a big fan of it. I am not sure. I haven't studied intently. I don't know enough to recommend it as a therapy. I advocate for it as a integrative practitioner. I can't say that as a my level of evidence, they grade the level of evidence. C, no harm for it as long as you're safe in the shower. I don't know the evidence for it.
I think there is a study done that there is some dopamine connection, that it's quite lasting many hours into the day.
Okay.
you know, because it kind of changes brain state a little bit. But again, I'm not in, you know, in the medical field to say that for sure. But and it's, I love what you said about the breath, because it is a stressor, because you're like, oh, it's cold.
Yeah.
But how
And
much
then
control can you have to start to slow down the breath? It's like when the gentleman was talking about the fear of, you know, going around the corner. It's like, okay, I'm having fear. Go into your breath, start to slow it down in order to try to meet that fear.
let's do this. Let's do this together. I want to make sure we have enough time, because one of the things we wanted today was to practice together. These are all great questions.
Gotcha.
But one, let's try this tongue, putting the tongue. I'm going to try it on the roof of your mouth. So Maurice, were you able to get the audio? And
Yeah.
can you, good. Okay. Can you hear me talking over the audio?
Yeah.
Now we
You don't
can't
hear-
hear you. Try talking now.
You hear it now? So maybe you hear either me or the bells. I'm gonna let the bells be the guide. These are the instructions. Sit up, right? Feet on the floor. Spine erect. Tongue up on the roof of the mouth, giving yourself just a little bit of a reminder to stay up. And time your inhale to start on the next bell. That's it. Hear the next bell, you start your exhale. Inhale on one bell, exhale, next bell. Try and keep it smooth. You might want to count to yourself roughly 5 counts. Finish your breath, gentle, nourishing. An appreciation, ability to have these slow, faith. Correct. Be alert with your tongue, but relax. Stay focused. Mind wanders. Breath and bells. Do this together for a few more minutes. Meditation. Focused. Mouth. spine upright. Just your muscles relaxed. Few more minutes. Keep your attention focused. Air nostrils, working your way to the back of your throat. Exhale. Back. We're going to count a minute or two. We're going to transition off the bells and we're going to practice long exhale. Okay. The count for 3, 4, 5. 4. Right, thanks, priest.
Want to turn off the bells?
Yeah, let's turn off the bells. And okay. Bye-bye, Dara. Dara's going to jump off. Now on your own. So that track is available on YouTube, or you can buy it also for a couple bucks so that you have it without ads. This really is a good exercise for strengthening the parasympathetic tone, for breathing at a certain rate. We do have some science behind it. But you can also do it without the bells, because we're going to practice now making the exhale longer. Okay, everybody okay? Ready to go on a few more minutes? Okay. So let's do this together. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale for 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale, deep inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, slow it down, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On your own count, silently. Do it yourself for a few breaths. If you can, if it feels comfortable. If it's uncomfortable, we'll talk in a minute. Go ahead, try it for a few minutes on your own. Okay, I'm going to challenge you. Let's try inhale for 4, exhale for 8. Okay, what happens is that the inhale is kind of rapid and the exhale is slow and controlled. Okay, ready? Let's start. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Rapid inhale, 2, 3, 4. Slow exhale, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 or 2 more rounds. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on your own for 1 round or 2. Maybe 1 more time. And then when you're done, you can open your eyes and we'll come back to the room. Okay. So in the yoga tradition, when you prolong the exhale, that is a inhibitory, a rest and relax state. If you ever want to be more alert, you do longer inhale, short exhale. Long inhale, short exhale. That's from the yoga tradition. For all of us in this course and with Parkinson's, I want to start you to start lowering the activity of those fast waves in your brain. So I prolong the exhale. How was it? Did anybody have trouble? Feel suffocating a little bit with the long exhale?
I love the bells. When I meditate, I breathe and I'm counting all the time. And it's like I'm working my brain, but the bells, I didn't have to work my brain.
Good. Okay. So the bells you can get online and you can also time it. That is 6 breaths a minute we did. You can get 5, 5.5, or 4 breaths per minute on one. So you can decide how long you want. And if you can tolerate slightly longer, I would get a track for a slightly slower bell. If you can. I'll send you the link. I owe Marsha a couple links. What do I owe Marsha? I owe your mindful walking video and a link to where you can get those bells. You can find it on YouTube, but yes.
I
And
wouldn't mind also getting some of that because I missed something. I couldn't download it. So if you could send it to me, I'd appreciate it also. I missed
Sure.
that.
We'll send it to everyone. Yeah.
Send it to everyone. And we'll try and do links. Okay. Yeah. Good.
I didn't really like it.
You didn't like it?
No, I felt that the exhaling for a long period like that made me nervous.
Okay. That's common. Try exploring that because it's a little feeling like you're suffocating a little bit. Some people feel anxious with it. I encourage you just to try as an experiment to get comfortable and see if you can let go of that anxiety and work through it. Notice it, disengage it, trust your body. You're not going to suffocate. I recognize anxiety. This is what anxiety feels like. Let's just try it. But then if you try that and you're like, nah, this isn't for me, then do your TM mantra because I want you to find something that, because a mantra also stimulates the parasympathetic activity.
Okay.
I want to tell that I sometimes teach that in my work, the slower exhalation. If you purse your lips and you breathe out from like closed mouth, like not closed mouth, like pursed lips, it just slows down and you don't get too anxious.
Good.
If I could jump in there for a second, just and I have to run, just want to say thank you again. If it's helpful to anybody, is just to really focus on listening to your breath. Is it loud? Is it quiet? If you picture the image in your head of the hunter-gatherer in the forest, it's I think a beautiful image. You know, that's pretty much still what we have today. We just have different technology around. But if you're out in the woods, you know, gathering nuts and berries, you don't want to be loudly big breaths. You know, you can actually breathe small, you know, quiet, soft breathing and still recruit the diaphragm, especially if you can breathe through the nose. Or as Malek said, you know, if you can't breathe through the nose and you do a pursed lips, because it's the volume of air is kind of important here, because if you do fast breathing, the lungs, the alveoli, these little grape-like sacs, the gas exchange between carbon dioxide and oxygen, it does not happen. Am I correct there, Dr. Sarah?
I don't know, actually. I'm not sure that I know that physiology. I think about it as trying to get all your lungs aerated. So another track we have is 3-part breathing, where you really learn to breathe to the base of your lungs, middle, and tippy top, so that we can change your musculature to maximize what parts of the lung that we've gotten. And I've never actually looked into whether the rate of inhale and exhale impacts that gas exchange.
Oh, brilliant. I'll leave you on this one. Just if we, like with hyperventilation, we're dumping carbon dioxide. So oxygen doesn't lose its affinity for hemoglobin. In simple English, we are not releasing oxygen into our tissues and organs and brain if we are breathing too fast. That's why we feel lightheaded and we get the tingling feeling from fast breathing.
Yes,
so,
that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody. Have a beautiful rest of the day, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.
Yes.
Right.
Nope, for this course next month, unless I can make it to your breathing session, but or in a month. Yes, we don't meet next week for this course. But we'll send out the Yale. That starts October 2nd. So if anybody wants to join, then we can continue.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Yeah, wonderful.
Darren's leaving, but we're going to finish up. Not every, if you have to leave, but I want to finish up just very quickly by just recapping. So what we did today was motor, which is, I'm glad that we got to that, and some breathing and trying to help the body feel safe. And if we can do this by sitting and practicing it, we can easily bring it to walking. Okay, that's what we talked about. Then we bring it out in the world. And when we have these stressors where we become uneasy, or the fear is triggered, or just it's unpleasant for us because we can't move well and other people are looking at us or waiting us to be fast, try and bring that in. Encourage the body to feel safe, disengage from unpleasant, stressful thoughts. You need mindfulness in order to do this in action. But try and get the body into a safe space and carry on and see how that is different from your normal way of operating. Because normally we get to a stressor, we become frazzled, we function less effectively in all of us. Mm-hmm. But if we can remember that we can stay calm through stressors, then we have the tools to continue on in a centered place. And that really makes for an improved quality of life. So I have a stress log that I will send out to people because it does help to write things down. If you print it out and keep it on your desk and just write it down, you will remember it better. Of course, you don't have to do it, but this is for your use only. But I have a stress log where I ask you to just write down stressors, see where you feel it in your body. Bringing to the body is we are embodied beings. We may experience stress mentally, but our body also has signs and symptoms. And as with all this course, I encourage you to feel your body as much as you can. So find it in your body, because that then becomes the signal for when you know your body's stressed. And then in a calm time, just reflect back on that stressor and say, what could I have done differently? Could I have breathed through that situation? Could I have planned my day better so I wasn't rushed? Could I have avoided the obligation because really I didn't want to go to begin with, but here I am in this situation where I'm unhappy and stressed and prefer to do something different. So write down some solutions, and next week, see if you can do something differently intentionally, or if you're still in that situation again, breathe through it, or use mindfulness from a physical perspective, keep your body in a safe state, and then psychological perspective, be intentional about what you do during your day. Remember to stay present to your body while walking, and practice mindful walking whenever you can. And just try and build this mind-body connection, this ability to look inward, observe your body from a different perspective, not the analytic mind, but the observer perspective. And we will regroup back in November, if not at the Yale workshop. And we're available for questions. Any questions? Simone's face is twisting. You look as if you're a little skeptical. You have to practice it.
It makes total sense what you're saying. It's just that I have so many stressors, sometimes I don't know what to do. So it's hard to focus on breathing when you have to deal with certain situations, whether it's, you know, it has nothing to do. I'm stressed because I don't feel well. That's one thing. I could deal with that. Maybe I'll go to a doctor, get some pills or some shit. But, oh, excuse me. But, you know, when the family member wants me to do this, or I have to go someplace and I have to cancel appointments, that stresses me more than anything. And
Yeah, so just take some time to breathe before you make a decision, before you find yourself flustered, which is our normal, I know, speaking for myself, I'm not saying it's personal, but most
oh,
of
no,
us, we
it's
get
personal.
flustered.
Sure.
It's flustered, but intentionally just take time to pause. And if this breathing exercise is helpful, do that. If a little bit of fresh air, getting out, just see what you can do to take pause instead of reacting right away or going with it, and see what you have control over. So just work on it. And there are things within our control that we can control. But if canceling an appointment is stressful for you, then part of it is just getting rid of that stress about it, saying, well, I'm going to do this, so cancel it and forget about it. Don't feel guilty about it if because you're doing something for you.
Okay.
There's many different levels. Okay, so I'll send out a stress log. I'm going to send out a mindful walking video. We'll send out the link to the Yale workshop for anybody who can join. I'll send out a link to the YouTube bells where you can get it for free, although with ads, or a site where you can purchase a track and you can decide how long for your breaths you would like to breathe.
That's pretty funny that there'll be ads in the middle of the bells.
Well, it's YouTube, right? That's what people comment. I started giving find it on YouTube. They're like, oh, it's annoying because the bells come. So you have to break your mindful practice, hit skip.
Makes you concentrate on breathing.
Right. Or you can continue, or you have to mindfully get out of it, hit skip, and then come back into your breathing. So yeah. So that's why it might be worth $10. I think that's what they charge for that track where you can do it for 20 minutes. If you like this practice, part of it is really finding a practice you like and sticking with it. I guess one message I want to leave as we part is that you take this time to get to your meditation seat and practice intentionally focusing on something, either the breath or observing the thoughts and catching your mind wandering, or mindful walking, where you're doing nothing but focusing inward.
Thank you so much. It's just wonderful.
Thank
So
you
much
so
information.
Really.
It is wonderful.
Okay. Thank you all for sharing.